Hey, what up? Welcome to the video. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe. Any new subscribers will actually get a 50% discount to my OnlyFans, which is... What? Oh, I'm not a girl, I can't do that? Oh. Okay, well, all new subscribers will get a crisp high five. So today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the unintended side effects that Wizards of the Coast practices have when it comes to premium versions of cards. So we're going to talk here. We're going to start with kind of the initial case study, right? And before that, let's make something kind of clear. Let's explain this, because a lot of people don't entirely understand this. So there are two factors that go in to how much money a card costs: how rare it is and how desirable it is for play. And then there are some other factors as well. The where it came from. How old it is, what it looks like, but the two main overarching factors are how rare it is and how desirable it is for play. So let's look at Sol Ring. So the Kaladesh Invention. The Kaladesh Invention Sol Ring is around $400. An average Sol Ring out of a commander deck is around $3. If every commander deck from the beginning of time and supplemental products and all of the bullcrap, if all of that had the exact same art and foiling as the Kaladesh Invention, the Kaladesh Invention version of the Sol Ring was the one that was the one that we currently see as the budget one, and that was the only printing it ever had. The invention-looking Sol Ring would certainly not be $400. The one that was, normal-looking certainly would not be $3. The prices would almost certainly be flipped, and there would be a gigantic disparagement, something like that, but between the two cards. So the fancy art doesn't really have anything to do with it, as weird as that sounds. It's just we usually associate fancy art with something being rare. If something has new or different art, but it's not any rarer, that almost never causes any kind of price movement, because this isn't Force of Will or any of those other games where you can have like attractive, evocative art. That factor doesn't really play in. And then Magic the Gathering doesn't have a ton of fantastic artists, and they just fired another one. So there are very few artists that can actually make cards that people are excited for the new art for. At this point there's like John Avon, Rebecca Guay, and Seb McKinnon, and that's all that really comes to mind as far as artists that people are like super excited to see new art from them and might pay a tiny bit of a premium. So we're gonna kind of look at the invocations, or not invocations. What are they? Expeditions. I think the overall name is expeditions. I think. So the average value of a Battle for Zendikar expedition is $32. And not. I'm sorry, that's not the average value. The average value it adds to a booster box. So you get one every 4 booster boxes. The value that adds to the EV is $32, which is pretty substantial. And we go down to Oath of the Gatewatch. The average slot in here is $15. This is there is that bit of a difference, just because the actual lands that were in Oath of the Gatewatch were not nearly as good as the ones that were in Battle for Zendikar. BFZ had all the fetch lands, and OGW had like the filter lands. So there's a difference between that cycle that altogether is like what, $1,500, and the cycle altogether is like maybe $200. So that's where that big disparagement in EV comes in. Similar thing with Kaladesh here. So the Kaladesh the average value of the invention slot in Kaladesh is $30, and then the average value of the invention slot in Aether Revolt is a paltry $17. And this is again because Kaladesh had, I believe, the Kaladesh was Sol Ring and Mana Crypt, both sitting at around $400, and then Aether Revolt, the most expensive card, was a Chalice of the Void, I believe, and Chalice Invention should be sitting anywhere between $200 and $250. So you get those big price swings. And then now we go to, so people reacted very well to both Battle for Zendikar and Kaladesh. You see very similar Very similar kind of trajectories there. And then we go to Amonkhet. And unlike the other ones, Amonkhet goes right out the gate, and it starts, the average value of the slot is a paltry $15. So the average value of the slot in the first round of these is half what it was in the previous one. And then the second one is the lowest of any of them. The average Hour of Devastation invocation slot is only $12. So what you see here is what Wizards of the Coast does every single time whenever they figure out something new or exciting that people are actually kind of interested in. So what they do is they do it, it sells really well, they do it again, it sells pretty well, and then they do it third, fourth, fifth times, and then it starts to do less and less well, and then they get rid of it. They don't get that they can take a short break and go back to it. They don't get that they don't have to shove 15 of these things back to back to just keep trying to drain everything they can out of people. You saw the same thing with the secret layer. You take the secret layer, the first one, everyone's super excited for it. Second one, people are like, wow, that was kind of quick. I wonder how many of these we're going to get. Literally, half a year later, over 50 secret layers, and people just don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. People aren't buying as many of them. They aren't selling as well because they just overload the market. Now, we're going to go on to talk about collector's boxes because that's been the new round of it. Whenever collector's boxes originally came out in Throne of Eldraine, people were extremely excited. The packs were going off the shelves for the actual $30 MSRP, which is just crazy. And then it just absolutely really crashed the foil prices just because of what was in them and how they were structured. So whenever Theros Beyond Death came out, there's a lot of memory for that. So normally they get a good 2 or 3 rounds whenever they try something new and gimmicky like this. But right when Theros Beyond Death came out, people were already tired of it. You know, this was, I think the way that they would have had to do the collector's boxes is do something almost like where there would be like one set a year that would have a collector's edition with it, and then I think that could have actually done pretty well. But what you're seeing now is the average, Ikoria is the only standalone because for whatever reason the box topper Godzilla cards are still averaging like $50 a piece, and you get like 2 or 3 of those per box, so there's still a lot of reason for people to try to pick those up. The mythic Godzillas, not the rare uncommon or common or whatever. But each of these other boxes, if you go on eBay right now, you can find Theros, M21, and Throne of Eldraine collector's boxes all for around $160 and $170 each. And the reason for that is because the prices just aren't holding. The cards in the set are not the cards in the set, the cards in the packs are not worth enough to be paying the full $300 MSRP for these boxes. And the reason for that is because foils aren't worth anything anymore. Because they have all of these collector's boxes, all of these alternate editions, just foil cards are not worth anything. They don't hold a premium. The average premium for a foil card whenever I started playing Magic in original Innistrad was 1.45. The average premium for a foil card now is like 1.08. And that is just a massive drop, and that has been brought about largely by these collector's editions. So we're going to kind of look at the effect that these collector's editions have had on the prices of foil cards in some of these sets. So this is Throne. You can see the regular set is worth and I don't like MTG Goldfish for this because they have just dumb stuff that isn't really accurate, but hopefully the dumb stuff that isn't really accurate, we're using MTG Goldfish for everything, so hopefully it kind of balances out and gives like kind of a decent picture. Yeah, so we went from 230 up to 380, and if we just do the math real quick, 380 divided by 230, that puts the average foil slot in Throne of Eldraine at 1.6 times the normal slot. Now again, obviously you've got problems with MTG Goldfish pricing on this because you know, if you look at a card here like Questing Beast, they have the foil for that at $19.99. If you go on TCG Player, which is the only place you should really use for pricing, and you look at you look at Questing Beast, you can see that the foil is right at the same the market price for the foil is right at the same price as the market for the regular. Unfortunately, MTG Goldfish does not go off market prices, they go off listed median. So, yeah. Not entirely accurate there, but there should be enough of a picture that it should be helpful. But so then that's a 1.6. Let's do Theros Beyond Death. Theros Beyond Death is 254 and 350. 254 divided by 350. TBD. Oops, I did it wrong. 254. That should be like one. That should be like yeah. So the average value in Theros for a foil slot, even with the MTG Goldfish weird pricing, is 1.37. So you're already seeing that crash. Let's look at Ikoria. Ikoria is 214 and 307. Actually, it's a little bit better, I think. 214, yeah, it's a tiny bit better, is a 1.43, and then if we look at core set 2021, it's still kind of high. Yeah, so 270 and 420. 420 divided by 270 is 1.5. So the average foil slot in these last 4 sets that have had collector's boxes is about 1.4. So now let's take a look at a couple sets that didn't have collector's boxes. War of the Spark, 230, foil, 590. 590 divided by 230. The average foil slot in War of the Spark is 2.56 times the average non-foil slot, which is a massive, massive difference from the sets with these collector's boxes. Let's look at Eldritch Moon, which is another one I had pulled up. Eldritch Moon, 243. Foil, 572. $2.35. Let's do one more. What's another good set from kind of recent times? Let's do Origin since we did Core 21. Origins, MTG Goldfish. Okay, so Origins is sitting right at 250 for non-foil, foil 586. 586 divided by 250. 2.34. So kind of the takeaway from this is going to be is going to just basically be like this is what products like this do. They cannot hold. They cannot hold the effect. They cannot hold the effect that Wizards of the Coast wants them to hold. You know, you have they do have a certain amount of product they can sell based on doing this, but that runs out. They can't just keep running things like this back to back to back and expect people to be excited about it every time and expect people to keep buying it for the same price even though the cards aren't worth as much. You can see the difference between the average standard set with a collector's booster box and the average standard set without a booster box is a good so the average foil, we'll just say this. So the average foil slot in a set without a collector's box is 2.4. The average foil slot in a set with a collector's booster box is 1.4. So that's all a collector's box does. All it does is devalue foils, because a foil is not worth the same if there are more of them, and that's the takeaway. Like if I take a Masterpiece Soul Ring and add 10,000 of them to the market immediately, a Masterpiece Soul Ring is not worth $400 anymore because there's way more of them available. If you take a foil questing beast and add 100,000 of them in collector's boxes, a foil questing beast is not going to be 2.5 times what a normal one is it? It's going to be, it's going to be what it is. It's going to be about the same price because they're about the same rarity. And that's, that's all there is to it. The effect that having cool new alternate art whatever stuff has, that doesn't last through to just printing stuff back to back to back. So the way that Wizards of the Coast could fix this and stop having all of these random gimmicky product lines that they run 50 of them in a row to try to milk money out of people is just do stuff in moderation. Have a collector's booster box a year. Have 4 secret layers a year. Have 1 master set a year, or 1 summer set a year, or 1 whatever set a year with some kind of like expedition slot in it. And that will do a lot better just overall for everything, for all the prices. And you won't see this effect where they run something again and again and again and again, and then they have to get rid of it.